All right, so are you ready to like dive into this whole crypto thing?
Oh, yeah. Always ready for a good crypto deep dive.
Yeah, especially because like everyone's saying crypto could like turn the whole financial world upside down.
Hmm.
And, we're getting close to what people are calling the economic singularity.
Right.
That point where tech is just like taking off so fast, it changes how our entire economy works.
It's mind-blowing when you really think about it.
Totally. And then you add in this question about Microsoft maybe making a massive Bitcoin investment.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
I mean, what would that even mean for the future of crypto?
Yeah.
Huge question, right? So to like figure this all out, we're looking at some seriously interesting sources you've found.
Lay it on me.
Okay, so first we've got some insights from Raoul Pal, this macro investor guy.
Okay.
Then there's this shareholder proposal at Microsoft that's got everybody talking.
Interesting.
And to like round it all out, we've got this deep analysis of crypto valuation from Real Vision's chief crypto analyst.
Jamie Coots?
Yes, Jamie Coots.
I've heard some of his stuff pretty insightful.
For sure. Okay, so let's just jump right in with Raoul Pal.
Right.
This guy is known for, making some seriously bold predictions.
Oh, yeah.
And in this Real Vision video, he says something that really like caught my attention.
What's that?
He says, we've got 6 years to unfuck our lives before the economic singularity hits.
6 years.
6 years. That's not a lot of time
Not at all.
to get your finances in order.
Right. And it's not just about getting your personal finances in order.
Okay.
It's like he's saying the whole system, like the banks, the governments, they might not be able to keep up with how fast things are changing.
Oh, wow.
It's a pretty radical idea.
Yeah, that's a pretty bleak picture.
So what does he think is going to happen?
Yeah.
What are people supposed to do to, like, prepare?
Well, Powell is a big believer in cryptocurrency,
Okay.
Bitcoin specifically. He sees it as like a life raft in this, this crazy economic storm that's coming.
So, like, Bitcoin is the answer, in his view. Yeah. And when you look at Bitcoin's features, it kind of makes sense, why he's so into it.
Okay, yeah, like what makes Bitcoin so special in his eyes?
Well, first of all, it's decentralized,
Okay.
which means it's not controlled by any government or bank.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got this level of independence that traditional currencies just don't have.
That makes sense.
Right. And then it's also super secure thanks to the blockchain technology.
A blockchain, yeah.
And then on top of that, it has the potential to be like inflation proof
Oh, interesting.
because the supply of Bitcoin is limited. It's mathematically capped,
Right.
which is a big deal in a world where central banks are just printing money like crazy.
Yeah, true. Okay, so I get the appeal, but I gotta say, sometimes the crypto world feels a little bit
What?
cultish,
Yeah.
all this talk about revolutionizing finance, replacing the system. It can get a bit intense.
Yeah, I get that. It's good to be skeptical.
Right.
But I think underneath all the hype and all the jargon, there's this really powerful idea.
And what's that?
Financial empowerment. Giving individuals more control over their own money.
So it's not just about getting rich quick.
No, not at all. It's about having more options, more freedom when it comes to your finances.
Okay, I like that. So it's not just about like Lambos and, going to the moon.
Right, exactly.
Okay, but speaking of getting rich, Pal's prediction for Bitcoin is wild.
Oh, yeah.
He thinks it could reach a market cap of $100 trillion in the next 10 years.
100 trillion.
That's like all the money in the world. Is he serious?
He is. Yeah, and if it happens, it'd be the fastest wealth accumulation in history.
Wow.
But who knows if that'll actually come true.
Right?
The future's uncertain.
Yeah.
But Bitcoin's track record and how quickly it's being adopted,
Yeah.
it's definitely an asset worth keeping an eye on.
Yeah, $100 trillion.
That's
crazy. Okay, so how does this all connect to Microsoft?
Well, that's where things get really interesting.
Yeah.
Remember that shareholder proposal we talked about?
Oh, right. The one where they want Microsoft to buy a ton of Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Exactly. It's a pretty bold move, and it shows, how much institutional interest is growing in crypto.
Okay, so let's break down that Microsoft story. What's
Yeah.
going on there?
All right, so these Microsoft shareholders, they're basically saying Microsoft should use some of its cash to buy Bitcoin.
Okay, but how much are we talking about here?
A lot. The proposal says they should put in 10% of their cash,
10% of their cash.
which is like, I think it's $76 billion in cash they have.
Wow.
So that would be $7.6 billion.
7.6 billion.
Just in Bitcoin.
Okay, so to put that in perspective, how does that compare to like what Tesla did?
Oh, it's way more than Tesla. It's like 11 times what Tesla bought.
11 times.
Yeah,
Okay, so that is a huge amount of money.
definitely.
So what does Microsoft think about all this?
Well, from what you've told me, the board is actually recommending that shareholders vote against it.
Really?
Yeah.
But why? Like, wouldn't that be good for their stock if Bitcoin takes off?
Yeah, but Bitcoin is still pretty unpredictable.
It's volatile.
Yeah.
And the regulations around it are, they're still changing.
Yeah, that's true.
So I guess for a company like Microsoft that's known for being pretty careful,
Right.
it makes sense that they'd be hesitant to just jump all in.
Okay, so even if the company's against it, how does this shareholder proposal thing even work?
So it's pretty interesting. For public companies like Microsoft, shareholders get to vote on big company decisions at their annual meeting.
Okay.
So they have these votes on like special proposals like this Bitcoin one.
Mm-hmm.
And usually those votes aren't binding.
So they don't have to do what the shareholders say?
Right, but it's still a way to see what the shareholders are thinking.
Okay, so it sends a message.
Exactly. And sometimes, if enough shareholders really want something, it can push the company to change their mind.
Interesting.
And there are actually SEC rules that let shareholders force a company to like consult with everyone on specific issues.
Huh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so shareholders actually have a decent amount of power.
So this whole thing is kind of a big deal then.
Yeah, I think so. It really shows you how mainstream crypto is becoming.
Totally. I never thought I'd see something like this happening at Microsoft.
Me neither. But even if Microsoft doesn't buy a bunch of Bitcoin directly, there are still other ways they could get involved, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like what?
Well, they could follow Tesla's lead and just start buying Bitcoin on exchanges.
Right. But wouldn't that be risky? Especially with that much money.
Yeah, you'd have to figure out how to manage all those Bitcoin holdings.
And security would be a big concern.
Exactly. That's why a Bitcoin spot ETF might be a better option.
Oh, right, the spot ETF. You were explaining that earlier.
right.
It's like a simpler way to get into Bitcoin without having to actually buy and hold it yourself.
Exactly. It's kind of like buying a basket of stocks that tracks the price of Bitcoin.
Okay, I get it. So it's less risky and easier to manage.
Exactly. And there's more regulatory clarity.
Okay, that makes sense. But is there anything else they could do?
Well, they could always try leverage and derivatives.
Oh, boy. Those words.
I know. They sound complicated, but they don't have to be.
Okay, try me.
Imagine you're playing a game where you have to guess if Bitcoin's price will go up or down.
Okay.
You can bet a little bit of money and maybe win big.
Mm-hmm.
Leverage is like borrowing money from a friend to make a bigger bet.
Ah, okay. So you can win more, but you could also lose more.
Exactly.
Oh,
What about derivatives?
that's the one I'm really not sure about.
So basically, there are these contracts, and their value is tied to Bitcoin's price.
Okay.
So like one type is a call option.
Mm-hmm.
That gives you the right, but not the obligation to buy Bitcoin at a certain price in the future.
Okay.
So if the price goes up, you can use your option to buy it at the lower price and make money.
I see. And if it goes down, you don't have to buy it.
Exactly. You just lose the small amount you paid for the option.
Okay, so it's like betting on the future price of Bitcoin without actually buying it now.
Exactly.
I get it. But let's be real, Microsoft isn't going to be out there gambling like that, are they?
Probably not. They're pretty careful and strategic.
Yes.
But you never know. Maybe as crypto gets more mainstream, we'll see more big companies trying these kinds of strategies.
Yeah, that's true. It's like we're watching the whole financial world change right in front of us.
Definitely. What started as this like fringe thing
Yeah.
is now being talked about by the biggest companies in the world.
It makes you wonder, what's next for crypto?
That's the big question. And to answer that, we need to hear from our crypto guru, Jamie Coots.
Yes, Jamie Coots, Real Vision's chief crypto analyst. He seems like he knows his stuff.
He really does.
Yeah.
What's interesting about Jamie is that he's got this really diverse background.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, he's really good at technical analysis,
Oh, okay.
but he also understands traditional financial markets, and he's got a deep understanding of blockchain technology.
So he's got like the best of both worlds.
Exactly. It's like he's bridging the gap between the old world of finance and this new world of crypto.
That's so cool. It reminds me of how much financial analysis has changed over time.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It used to be all about looking at price charts. Then it was about digging into a company's financials.
Fundamental analysis.
Right. And then came all the fancy math with quantitative portfolio analysis.
Yeah.
And now we've got on-chain data from the blockchain itself.
It's crazy how much things have changed.
Totally. So how does Jamie approach crypto valuation? What makes him different?
One thing that really stands out is his focus on fundamental analysis.
So he's not just chasing hype.
No, he's trying to understand what actually makes these crypto networks valuable.
I like that. So he's looking at things like user growth and transaction volume and the underlying technology.
Exactly. And he even uses ideas from traditional finance like Metcalfe's law.
Metcalf law? Wait, remind me what that is.
It's basically the idea that the more people use a network, the more valuable it becomes.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that.
So like think about social media. The more people use it, the more valuable it is.
Right.
Metcalfe's law tries to put a number on that relationship.
Okay.
And Jamie's applying that same idea to crypto networks.
So as more people use Bitcoin, the more valuable it becomes? That's really interesting. So even if Microsoft doesn't invest in Bitcoin directly, the fact that shareholders are pushing for it and analysts like Jamie Coots are taking it seriously, it all shows that crypto is gaining legitimacy.
I think that's the key takeaway. Crypto is not going away.
Yeah.
And as more big players get involved, things are only going to get more interesting.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's shift gears for a second and talk about some other ways Microsoft could get into Bitcoin, even if the shareholder proposal doesn't work out.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about Microsoft maybe buying Bitcoin directly, but you said there are other ways they could get involved, even if the shareholder thing doesn't happen.
Yeah, definitely.
What are some of those options?
Well, one option would be to invest in a Bitcoin spot ETF.
Right, the spot ETF, we talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
It's like a simpler way to get exposure to Bitcoin without all the hassle of buying and storing it yourself.
Exactly. They'd get the exposure, but with less risk and less regulatory headache.
It's like the best of both worlds.
Right. And it would be much easier for them to manage.
Okay, that makes sense. Are there any other options?
Well, if they're feeling a little more adventurous, they could look into leverage and derivatives.
Ooh, those are some scary words.
I know, but let me try to explain it simply.
Okay, go for it.
Imagine you're trying to guess which way Bitcoin's price is going to go.
Up or down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can bet a little bit of money and maybe win big.
Okay.
Leverage is like borrowing money from a friend to make a bigger bet.
Ah, so you could win more, but you could also lose more.
Exactly. Now, what about derivatives?
I'm still a bit fuzzy on that one.
Okay, so basically they're contracts that are tied to Bitcoin's price.
Okay.
One kind is a call option
Mm-hmm.
that gives you the right but not the obligation to buy Bitcoin at a specific price in the future.
Okay.
So if the price goes up, you can use your option to buy it at a lower price and you make a profit.
Oh, I see. And if the price goes down, you don't have to buy it.
Right.
You just lose the small fee you paid for the option.
Okay, that makes more sense. So it's like betting on the future price of Bitcoin without actually buying it right now? It's exactly.
But wouldn't that be super risky for a company like Microsoft?
It would be riskier than a spot ETF, for sure.
Right.
Microsoft is usually very careful and strategic about these things.
Yeah, I don't see them gambling on Bitcoin.
Probably not. But as crypto gets more mainstream, maybe we'll see more companies using these kinds of strategies.
It's really interesting to think about how the financial world is changing.
It is. It's like we're watching a revolution unfold.
And crypto is right at the center of it.
Absolutely.
Well, this has been an amazing deep dive.
Yeah, we've covered so much.
From Raoul Pal's wild predictions to that surprising shareholder proposal at Microsoft.
It's clear that crypto is not going away.
And as more big companies get involved, things are only going to get wilder.
Definitely.
So for everyone listening out there, keep exploring the world of crypto because it's only getting started.
That's right. The future of finance is being written right now.
And who knows what amazing innovations are just around the corner.
I can't wait to find out.
Me neither. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.